Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
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 Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Greetings and salutations from the Chicagoland area. It is I, Uncle Warren. It is the first day of spring. Technically, the first day of spring started about, almost 20 minutes ago. It's kind of weird how spring works. It's kind of a thing where it's like it's between the 19th and the 21st. The whole tilt of the earth and its distance from the sun, all that stuff. Anywho, that all being said, it probably is not going to make a lick of difference because it's, at least here in Chicago, it's going to, oh, I guess that's not working. Is that not working? Okay, never mind. Close that then. All right. Yeah, it'll probably snow here next week or something. It's supposed to be 70 tomorrow here, but it's probably gonna, and then it's probably gonna snow. I mean, it's not forecast, but you know how that goes. Early spring is the worst. So as far as like, it's always a crapshoot. The end of winter, the early spring, you never know what you're gonna get. So also, RIP to Chuck Norris. Yes, Walker, Texas Ranger, walking no more. He has passed on, but his beard has survived and will perform the eulogy at Chuck Norris's funeral. So you can't kill that beard. It may go gray, but you can't kill that beard. So RIP to Chuck Norris. During the secret show tonight, I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about our favorite Chuck Norris jokes. Chuck Norris's beard has a fist too. It's been so long since I've told any of those Chuck Norris jokes, so I'll have to look them back up again. It's been a minute, as the kids say. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and we are live on Substack. So if you're into Substack, a lot of times we don't read all of the stories. We give you the meat and taters, and if you want the more in-depth stuff, we'll have after the show on ExtraBulla.substack.com. Not only the show itself there for you, but also the stories, the news links that you can click and read yourself if you want to read more of the stories that we didn't get a chance to go in depth on. Please do so. If you want to become a Patreon member, you can do that too. All the links are down below in our link tree. Also, if you want to give us a super chat during the show, that works too. If not, I know a lot of people are broke, so it's all good. If you could share out the links, that's like Twizzlers that makes mouths happy. So, that being said, not happy is what's going on in the Middle East. We might as well get to it. 4 killed in Gaza as ceasefire violations continue. Al-Aqsa shut through Eid. So, the Muslim holiday going on right now. So key developments. 4 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes in Gaza City amid continued violations of the ceasefire agreement. Rafah crossing partially reopens. Israel authorities extend unprecedented closure of Al-Aqsa Mosque through al-Fitr, tightening restrictions. Either is that Fitr? I think that's Fitter. Maybe. I could be wrong. So Israeli occupation forces killed 4 Palestinians yesterday in Gaza City as part of continued violations of the ceasefire agreement, according to the Quds network, news network. 2 civilians were killed when Israeli forces targeted a group near Al-Shawa Square in the Al-Tufa neighborhood. The victims were identified as Diafala Muhammad Salah Al-Fayumi and Ali Abdul Razak Al-Malmouk, 22. I'm sorry, Max. Good morning to you, Max. I hope you're doing well this morning, sir. In a separate attack, an Israeli drone struck civilians on Kashko Street in the Zaytun neighborhood, killing Hamza Siam and Muhammad Farat and wounding others. These attacks come despite a ceasefire agreement in place since October 10th, which has failed to halt ongoing Israeli strikes. Surprise, surprise. According to the report, 673 Palestinians have been killed and almost 1,800 injured since the agreement took effect. Seems like in these ceasefires, only one side actually recognized the actual ceasing of the fire, while the other one just kind of brushes us off as a mere technicality. The broader total of the war remains staggering. Since October 2023, Israeli attacks on Gaza have resulted in more than 72,000 Palestinians killed. That's according to official results. Of course, they're still looking for bodies under the rubble. And approximately 172,000 wounded, alongside widespread destruction of homes and infrastructure across the Strip. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt reopened on Thursday after nearly 3 weeks, allowing a limited number of wounded Palestinians to leave for treatment abroad. According to the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, only 8 injured Palestinians, accompanied by 17 family members, were permitted to cross into Egypt. It remains unclear whether those who leave will be allowed to return. Sources cited by Reuters news agency indicated that the reopening followed talks in Cairo involving Hamas officials and envoys linked to Trump's Board of Peace, aimed at maintaining the fragile ceasefire. That Board of Peace name is, that did not age well. Despite being located on Egyptian territory, Rafah remains heavily influenced by Israeli control mechanisms. While Israel holds no formal authority over the crossing, it enforces strict security approvals that effectively determine who can exit or return. This arrangement has transformed Rafah into a critical choke point. Israeli policies have repeatedly led to closures or severe restrictions, limiting the entry of humanitarian aid, medical supplies, food, and fuel, and deepening the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Meanwhile, in occupied Jerusalem, Israeli occupation authorities have extended the closure of the Al-Aqsa Mosque for the 20th consecutive day, with a shutdown set to continue until after Eid al-Fitr. And if anybody knows how to actually say this, let me know. I don't want to butcher this name, piss off anybody. The decision marks an unprecedented move since the occupation of Jerusalem in 1967, effectively preventing worshippers from accessing the mosque during one of the most significant periods in the Islamic calendar. Heavy security measures have been imposed across the Old City, including the closure of gates, restrictions on movement, and a ban on gatherings. Even WAQF or Waqf employees have faced limitations affecting the management of the site. Despite these measures, Palestinians in Jerusalem have continued to gather near the compound's gates, performing prayers in the streets and surrounding areas in defiance of the restrictions. The closure comes amid broader escalations, including a comprehensive lockdown across the occupied West Bank and increasing calls from illegal Israeli Jewish settler groups to alter the status quo at the mosque. Palestinian officials warn that extending the closure beyond Eid reflects not only a security policy, but an attempt to impose new realities on the ground during a highly sensitive religious and political period. So it's not bad enough that Israel has its hands full bombing Iran. Of course, they're still screwing around in the West Bank and in Gaza as well, killing people. Ceasefire. That's so cute when they're little and they say ceasefire, because we know that's not the thing. Meanwhile, with Hezbollah strikes Israeli occupation forces across the border, thwarts Israeli advances. That's a boom boom. The Islamic resistance in Lebanon, Hezbollah, continued its military operations, which came in defense of Lebanon and its people as part of Operation Devoured Straw, and in response to the Israeli aggression, which had targeted dozens of Lebanese villages and cities, including the Lebanese capital, Beirut. At 10 a.m. local time, resistance fighters targeted the Tifin base east of the occupied city of Akka with a rocket salvo. As part of repeated warnings issued to northern settlements, resistant fighters launched a fourth rocket salvo at the settlement of Kiryat Shmona at 12:20 p.m. local time, and simultaneously targeted the settlement of Even Menachem with a similar strike at noon. To counter Israeli attempts to establish military positions, resistant fighters targeted Nimr al-Jamal opposite Alma al-Shab, border town, with a rocket salvo, and Mount Adir, located in the upper Al-Jalil at 10 a.m. local time. Earlier in the day, the resistance targeted the Misgav Am site opposite the Lebanese border town of Al-Odaisi. Odaise? Oh, did I say it wrong? Yes. Odaise. My apologies again. Resistance fighters engaged a gathering of Israeli occupation forces in the Labuna area with a rocket salvo. Another concentration of Israeli troops in Kirbet al-Manara, opposite the border town of Hula, was targeted at dawn. Earlier today, for the third time this week, Israeli occupation forces attempted an additional advance toward the Baydar al-Fukana area north of Al-Taiba. I think that's Taiba. Upon detecting the Israeli force, resistance fighters set up a precise ambush, striking the Israeli invading units with guided missiles that destroyed a number of Israeli tanks. Hezbollah fighters executed a coordinated series of strikes against multiple Israeli troop concentrations along the Lebanese border. Launching precise rocket salvos, the resistance confronted Israeli forces at key border positions, including Etarun, Odaisa, I think that's Odaisa, Talat al-Kazam, and the Al-Taiba project. The operations achieved confirmed casualties among Israeli forces and forced emergency helicopter evacuations, demonstrating the ability to disrupt Israeli troop deployments and deny operational stability along the front line. Of course, this is all going on as the war in Iran continues, as we get to stories there concerning Iran, the Gulf there. A lot of crazy things going on, as there usually is. Pardon me, sir, or madam, whatever you got under the hood. So, Wave 67 of Operation True Promise 4, as the IRGC hits U.S.-led coalition center and Israeli occupation force installations. That's one of the Iranian ballistic missiles right there. Iran's IRGC carried out wave 67 of Operation True Promise 4, dedicated to the martyred IRGC spokesperson, Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini, and his brother, who were killed. The operation involved the deployment of heavy ballistic and cluster missiles, as well as extensive drone strikes targeting U.S. military assets, as well as radar systems and infrastructure in Israeli-occupied Palestinian territories. Targets included the Ali al-Salam base in Kuwait, UAV Air and Space Command, aircraft maintenance hangars, equipment and helicopter support warehouses, and the U.S.-led Coalition Forces Operations Center. Additionally, the IRGC targeted 4 missile defense early warning radars and the U.S. gathering site at Al Wafa base with long and medium-range missiles. Israeli satellite radar and air defense installations across central, southern, and northern occupied territories also came under attack, using long and medium-range missile systems with liquid and solid propellants for precision targeting. And remember, Iran had used up a lot of their old armaments, their old drones and missiles, and now they're bringing out the new toys. The IRGC statement warned U.S. and Israeli leaders, saying a dark fate awaits Trump and Netanyahu, and emphasizing confidence in victory. Just hours earlier, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps mourned Brigadier General Ali Mohammed Naini, the IRGC's public relations deputy and spokesperson, who was killed in a U.S.-Israeli attack in the early hours of the last day of Ramadan. IRGC offered condolences to Iran's leader, Naini's family, fellow officers, media personnel, and the people of Kashan, describing the martyrdom as a proud martyrdom in the fields of culture and media. Highlighting over 4 decades of service, the statement noted Naini's contributions to preserving the Islamic Revolution, particularly during the 8-year Iran-Iraq War, where he played a key role in documenting and narrating the conflict. In recent years, he served as the IRGC spokesperson, notably during Operations True Promise 1 through 4. IRGC emphasized Naini's transformative ideas and strategies in soft warfare, calling them guiding principles for personnel engaged in cognitive operations against adversaries. The statement praised his bravery and dedication, pledging to continue the path of steadfastness and hope exemplified by him and his martyred brother, while reaffirming the IRGC's commitment to maintaining its spiritual and soft power influence and ensuring the Corps' voice remains strong among believers. Meanwhile, the Iranian army announced targeting yet again the gathering of refueling aircraft at Ben Gurion Airport, the Ministry of Internal Security in occupied Al-Quds, and the headquarters of Channel 13 in Tel Aviv. Yikes, going for the TV. In its 36th statement, it noted that the strategic refueling aircraft at the airport play a key role in supporting airstrikes against Iran and the resistance axis, and that the Ministry of Internal Security and Channel 13 are among the most prominent commercial and news networks acting as arms of psychological warfare against Iran and playing a central role in forcing gags on the successes of Iran and the resistance front. The Iranian armed forces, supported by the people, stand firmly in defense of the homeland and in confronting the enemies, it concluded. So earlier at dawn, the IRGC said it carried out the 66th wave of Operation True Promise 4, so they just started 67, targeting sites in the occupied territories, including areas in the south, the center, and Tel Aviv, as well as U.S. military bases in the region. In a statement, the IRGC said the latest operation involved the use of a wide array of missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles, marking a continued phase of its ongoing campaign. The announcement emphasized that the strikes were part of an extended military response. The operation reportedly included the deployment of missiles such as Qadr, Khorramshahr, Khyber Shakan, Qiyam, and Zulfiqar. Zulfiqar, that sounds like some sort of medicine you take for a skin rash that has side effects include death and time travel, alongside one-way attack drones, according to the IRGC statement. These systems are part of Iran's long-range and precision strike arsenal, which has been used in previous waves of the operation. The IRGC stressed that the campaign is ongoing, stating it is in its announcement that it will not halt its operations and that further waves are expected. And they've also mentioned too that if Israel or the United States hit any of their energy sites, that Iran said they, quote, will not hold back. As I don't think they've been holding back so far. I know they held back in the 12-day war last year, but this year not so much. As we're seeing the ongoing censorship in Israel continues, so we don't really get a clear picture of what's going on, but you do get bits and pieces of video that come out of there, and Tel Aviv is looking rough. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Also, here in the United States, the Pentagon seeks extra $200 billion to wage Iran war as thousands of U.S. Marines head to West Asia. There's the head clown of the military there. The Pentagon has asked the White House to approve a request to Congress for more than $200 billion to fund the war in Iran, the Washington Post reported yesterday, citing a senior administration official. And this is on top of the other money that the military wants, looking for $1.5 trillion for the military this year. Unbelievable. And $1.5 trillion to get their asses kicked. The Pentagon claims the massive funding request is urgently needed to seek to increase production of weapons used by U.S. and Israeli forces to strike thousands of targets in 3 weeks of war, according to 3 other people familiar with the matter. They initially thought this war was going to take days. They figured they'd take out the leader, Ali Khamenei, and then Iran would fall. But here we are. What is this? We're working on week 3. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks. So yeah, a little bit more than 4 days. According to the U.S.-based rights group Harana, H-R-A-N-A, U.S. and Israeli bombing has killed at least 3,114 Iranians. The report comes as an additional U.S. Navy warship carrying more than 2,000 Marines is on its way to the region, signaling an additional military buildup in the area and fueling speculation about U.S. ground forces being deployed in Iran. Although Trump did mention, was it yesterday, he was asked if he was going to send troops. He, to paraphrase, he said, no, we're not going to send troops. And if we were going to send troops, we wouldn't tell you, but no, we're not going to send troops. But apparently 2,000 Marines are not troops. Maybe they're Boy Scouts. Maybe they're selling cookies. Who knows? We'll have to see how this plays out. Satellite images showed that the USS Tripoli and 2 escort ships were traveling southwest across the South China Sea towards West Asia on March 15th. Some White House officials do not believe Congress will approve the $200 billion request, the senior administration official said, as public support for the war is low, especially among Democratic lawmakers. Rondo, good morning. Eid Mubarak to you too, my friend. I hope you're doing well. It's also the first day of spring, by the way, if you're into that sort of thing. And Chuck Norris died too. So 3 things that have absolutely nothing to do with each other happening today. Republican lawmakers largely support the request, but may not have enough votes to overcome the Senate's 60-vote threshold. They're going to need that. Let's see. Okay, so that's this. The request for $200 billion for war with Iran surpasses the $188 billion approved by Congress by December for the war in Ukraine, according to the U.S. Special Inspector General for Operation Atlantic Resolve. What did Tupac say? We got money for war, but not to feed the poor. I know I'm paraphrasing there. I'm not hip. I'm more hip replacement than hip. So you have to excuse me there. The U.S. war launched with Israel on February 28th, cost at least $11 billion in the first week alone. Multiple officials speaking with the Post stated. Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg is leading the effort to request additional funding, the U.S.-based Daily added. Feinberg has focused on the U.S. defense industry over the past year to increase production of precision munitions amid an alleged shortage. Even before the war in Iran, vernal equinox. Look at you, fancy. I just say spring. You all up in here with science. Even before the war in Iran, Trump had called for a $1.5 trillion defense budget and more than 50% increase from the previous year. A lot of war hawks on both sides of the aisle, so I'm pretty sure that might actually happen. In 2025, the Pentagon failed its department-wide financial audit again. For the 8th consecutive year, the audit found significant weaknesses in financial controls across the department and raised questions about accountability and oversight within the U.S. War Department. And that's the monies that they know about. Of course, they have the Black Ops budgets that nobody knows about, doing all kinds of heinous things around the world. If the new $200 billion funding package gains approval, it's unclear how quickly the U.S. defense industry will be able to supply new weapons for use on the battlefield, the Post noted, as production is limited by the number of available workers, production facilities, and the availability of critical materials. Well, just get AI to do it. Just get AI to build your missiles. Come on. They're what they're there for. As Deputy Defense Secretary, Feinberg oversees the day-to-day operations of the Pentagon and reports formally to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, the former Fox News anchor. Yes, we have a game show host and a news anchor running this war. Can't make that up. Feinberg, a Jewish U.S. citizen, is a billionaire investor and co-founder of Cerberus Capital Management, a global private equity firm with some $60 billion in assets under management. Cerberus specializes in distressed assets, opportunistic investments, and sectors like defense and healthcare. Oh, he's the two evils, defense and healthcare. Although, I'm talking about the prices, not actual healthcare. Healthcare in this country is a unicorn. Feinberg stepped down as CEO in 2025 after being confirmed as Deputy Secretary of Defense. Some of Cerberus's defense-related investments, such as Navistar Defense and Transdime, have been accused of price gouging equipment for clients like the U.S. Marine Corps, the Quincy Institute reported last year. Oh, shocking. Price gouging with military stuff? Cerberus-affiliated Tier 1 group trained members of a Saudi assassination squad who killed Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. How about that? Quincy Institute senior research fellow William Hartung stated that as Deputy Secretary of Defense, Feinberg could make decisions that would benefit Cerberus. Well, you think? I think all these hacks that are in government that are running shit now are doing this definitely to make money. They're not serving you. They're serving their masters, and they're serving their own pocketbooks. He could make or influence decisions that might benefit companies he would want to work for or invest in when he leaves the Pentagon. Kind of like lobbyists. You see how that works? When you're in Congress and then you join the lobbying firms. The only way to address that larger issue would be for Feinberg to pledge that he would not work for or invest in weapons firms after he leaves the Pentagon, Hartung said. So when he leaves, he's going to say, nah, I'm not going to work for any of these places. Fingers crossed behind back. Don't believe any of these motherfuckers. Seriously. I believe the price of oil now, the Brent crude index is at, I think it's at $107 per barrel. I think that was the last time I checked this morning. It had been up to like 114, I think. But one of the reasons why it shot up, as Iranian missile hits Haifa oil refinery, causing fires and power outage. Haifa's oil refinery was hit yesterday by ballistic missiles launched by Iran's IRGC aerospace force. Video footage showed plumes of smoke rising from the Bazan oil refinery. According to Israeli media, the refinery was hit after Iran fired 3 back-to-back waves of ballistic missile attacks towards central and northern Israel on Thursday. Power outages resulted in the Krayat suburbs of Haifa following the missile attack. No injuries were initially reported. I don't know if that's going to show that or not. Probably not. The Bazan refinery is Israel's largest, with a refining capacity of 197,000 barrels per day. It was also damaged by Iranian missiles during the 12-day war between Israel and Iran last June. The strikes killed 3 of the refinery's employees and caused concerns about disruptions in fuel supplies, but ultimately did not materialize. Thursday's strike came in response to an Israeli strike on a key Iranian natural gas processing facility in the country's southwest on Wednesday. South Pars gas field is the largest in the world and the biggest source of domestic energy in Iran, which has struggled to produce sufficient electricity. The attack on South Pars is the first time Israel has struck natural gas facilities in Iran. Israeli and U.S. officials said the strike on South Pars was coordinated with and approved by the White House. It was approved. We'll have a little something about that later in our propaganda watch. Trumpy said the U.S. had not been given a warning about the attack. However, it seemed unlikely that U.S. intelligence would not have been aware of the plan to strike before it happened, The Guardian noted. Hours later, Iran conducted 2 missile strikes on Qatar. I'm going to call it Qatar. I want to say Qatar because it sounds like guitar, but I think it's Qatar. Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city and hit natural gas facilities, causing extensive damage, but no casualties. Qatar Energy said in a statement. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi wrote on the tweeters Thursday that Iran's response to Israel's attack on its natural gas infrastructure was restrained due to a request for de-escalation. Our response to Israel's attack on our infrastructure employed a fraction of our power. The only reason for restraint was respect for requested de-escalation. Zero restraint if our infrastructures are struck again, he warned. I don't know why you're restraining now. What? I mean, you just got the shit bombed out of you by U.S. and Israel. They blew up children in a school in your country. Why are you restraining? Maybe it has something to do with gas prices. Maybe oil prices and gas prices, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know how much restraint they're going to have as this drags on. Meanwhile, Iran demands compensation from the United Arab Emirates over its role in U.S. strikes. Where my money, bitch? Iran has formally called on the UAE to provide compensation for damages resulting from recent U.S. strikes, saying Abu Dhabi facilitated attacks on Iranian territory, according to a letter submitted to the UN. In a correspondence addressed to the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, Iran's UN Ambassador Amir Saeed Aravani said the UAE had enabled the United States to use its territory to carry out military operations against Iran. Aravani stated in the letter that the UAE's actions constituted an internationally wrongful act that entailed state responsibility, stressing that allowing foreign forces to launch attacks from its soil violated international law. The Iranian envoy underscored that such conduct directly contributed to the aggression against Iranian territory, holding the UAE accountable for its alleged role in enabling the strikes. Tehran argued that the UAE bears an international responsibility to provide full reparations, including compensation for both material and moral damages caused by the attacks. The letter reflects Iran's broader push to pursue legal and diplomatic avenues in response to U.S. military aggression in the region, while also signaling a warning to regional states against facilitating foreign aggression targeting Iranian sovereignty. Yeah, they basically kind of saying, look, you need to get those U.S. bases out of there. Lest you gets the hose again. Put the lotion in the basket. Earlier on March 14th, the spokesperson for Iran's central Qatam al-Anbiya headquarters warned that Iranian forces may target U.S. missile launch sites operating from locations inside cities in the UAE. Lieutenant Colonel Ibrahim Zolfagari said the U.S. military had resorted to operating from ports, docks, and concealed facilities within UAE cities after its military bases in the region were destroyed. According to the Iranian official, U.S. forces launched missiles from those locations, targeting the Iranian islands of Abu Musa and Karg. Karg is the island, I believe, where they're going to be sending those Marines. Not a good idea, but, of course, the U.S. government is full of not good ideas. U.S. CENTCOM had published footage of earlier attacks from desert settings where high-mobility artillery rocket systems, also known as HIMARS, fired precision munitions at Iranian territory, although several Gulf states have publicly claimed that their territories would not be used for attacks against Iran. Wink, wink, wink. Open source information suggests otherwise. Flight tracking data indicate that Saudi Arabian airspace is being used by aerial refueling tankers supporting fighter aircraft involved in strikes against Iran. The Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia has reportedly hosted multiple Stratotanker refueling aircraft participating in these operations. Meanwhile, the UAE hosts anti-missile radar systems and interceptor batteries, along with logistical infrastructure supporting both U.S. and Israeli personnel, including facilities used for resupply and operational coordination. So, yeah. So they're going to continue to pound these places. And, yeah, and sure, you're going to host these... You're going to host the United States that's putting a pounding on your country? Fuck yeah. Pony up some dough. Willie. What's up, Willie? Afro Man for President 2028. Dropping a 10 spot. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. As always, I hope you're doing well this morning. Yeah, so, of course, Iran's probably never going to get that compensation, as long as Big Brother U.S. is in the mix. But the U.S., for some strange reason, decides to pull out of the Middle East. Those Gulf states are going to be fucked. They're going to be fucked. They're going to be at the mercy of Iran, because even though Iran has really gotten pounded, they still have plenty of weapons. They still have plenty of infrastructure, especially within the mountain areas, too. Say it isn't so. They got the ghost. Wait, what? Iranian missile defense system successfully hit stealth F-35, according to CENTCOM. So much for stealth. It's usually stealth means you can't see it. John, what's going on? Chuck, good to see you. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. There it is. I love this. They got like that. They got the little flags there. And then, of course, you got your Lockheed Martin logo right there. Stark Industries. Sorry. Iran's IRGC said yesterday it has successfully hit a U.S. Air Force F-35 stealth fighter jet in central Iran's airspace, according to Iran's press TV. The advanced warplane was struck at 2:50 a.m. local time by Iranian air defense systems, the IRGC announced on its official news website on Thursday. According to the statement, a strategic F-35 fighter jet belonging to the hostile U.S. Army was targeted, I believe that'd be Air Force, or maybe it's Army, I don't know, was targeted in the sky of central Iran at 2:50 a.m. today, using a modern and advanced air defense system belonging to the Aerospace Force of the Guard, and it was severely damaged, the plane, that is. The fate of the fighter jet is unclear and under investigation, and the likelihood of its crash is very high, the statement said, although I believe they probably tell us here that the CENTCOM said that it was hurt, I guess, it was damaged, but it managed to land, I think. The IRGC added that the country's integrated air defense network has successfully downed more than 125 U.S. and Israeli drones since the start of the war on February 28th. Poppy! Hello, Poppy. How are you this morning? Good morning to you. Or good afternoon, wherever the case may be. Further details on the incident are still under investigation, according to Press TV. And this is the thing here. I guess, yeah, this is what the plane looks like, and apparently just went boom, knocked the crap out of it. The incident marks the first time Iran has struck an advanced U.S. stealth aircraft with its air defenses. Citing two sources, CNN reported on Thursday that a U.S. F-35, hang on a second, I gotta do something here real quick. One moment, please. So, citing two sources, CNN reported yesterday that a U.S. F-35, 87 degrees in the Ozarks. Yikes. Yeah, we're supposed to get some warm weather this weekend, too. CNN reported on Thursday that a U.S. F-35, which employs stealth technology to evade detection by radars, made an emergency landing at a U.S. airbase in West Asia after being struck by what is believed to have been Iranian fire. What was there, a laundry fire on board the thing? Did the toilets not work? We'll get to that later. Captain Tim Hawkins, a spokesperson for CENTCOM, said the U.S. warplane was flying a combat mission over Iran when it was forced to make an emergency landing. The aircraft landed safely and the pilot is in stable condition, Hawkins added. The incident is under investigation. Both the U.S. and Israel are using F-35s, which cost some $100 million each. $100 million. Whole dollars. Each to produce to bomb Iran. Iran's successful targeting of an F-35 yesterday comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed earlier in the day that the U.S. is winning decisively and that Iran's air defenses have been flattened. Well, except for that one. Pete Hegseth, the Baghdad Bob of 2026. A week ago, a U.S. military refueling aircraft crashed over western Iraq, killing 6 crew members. U.S. officials said neither hostile nor friendly fire was involved in the loss of the KC-135 aircraft. The tanker had been involved in ongoing U.S. operations against Iran. Another U.S. aircraft was involved in the incident but landed safely. The Boeing-manufactured aircraft play a critical role in the U.S.-Israel air war, allowing U.S. fighter jets and bombers to extend their range and attack distant targets. You can't see me. You can't see. Boom. Oh, fuck. You can't see me. Owie. Why? You're not supposed to see me. Oh, bitch. I guess we can now. Oopsie sauce. Look, I don't like seeing anybody get killed, but, you know, you fuck around, you're going to find out. I'm just saying. And they fucked around a whole bunch, and they're starting to find out a lot. Meanwhile, Cotter, welcome back. Not that Cotter. Sorry. Cotter calls for immediate end of the war on Iran after attack on gas facility. So Cotter was kind of like, hey, yeah, let's fuck those people up. And then boom, 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 all their shit gets fucked up. And they're like, okay, all right. Yeah. Can we? No, I didn't mean it. Nice mustache. Cotter called for an immediate end to the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, becoming the first major Gulf energy producer to explicitly call for a halt to the conflict without conditions. Yeah, right? It's like the Scooby Gang, you know, doing that little that little Scooby sneaking. They're not invisible, but they sneaky. They sneaky. This war needs to stop immediately. All our shit's blowed up. No, I'm sorry. This war needs to stop immediately. The aggression needs to stop immediately. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, otherwise known as SMAT, said on Thursday alongside Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan. Qatar's call for an immediate end to the war is notable because a statement issued by Arab and Muslim countries on Wednesday did not call for an unconditional halt in fighting. Instead, it called for an immediate halt in Iranian attacks and generally condemned Tehran. Yeah, still the boom, boom, boom hit. And then, then they're like, oh, okay, all right. You really mean it? Okay. You ain't fucking around. All right. My bad, dog. That statement was issued by Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, Qatar, Kuwait, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria after a meeting in Riyadh. Everyone knows who the main beneficiary of this war is, and dragging the whole region into this conflict is, Thani said. Wink, wink, he knows who, but he won't say his name. It's like Beetlejuice. If he says his name 3 times, he'll appear. His comments are likely to be interpreted as a reference to Israel, whose attack on Iran's South Pars gas field and facilities this week prompted an Iranian reprisal against energy production sites in the Arab Gulf. Omani Foreign Minister Badr bin Hamad al-Busaidi wrote in The Economist that it was in neither the U.S.'s nor Iran's interest to continue the war, which he said Israel wants to pursue to overthrow the Islamic Republic. Unlike the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, Oman has little energy wealth. They're like, we don't have any of this shit. Why are you bombing us? Oh, because we're helping out. Okay. Maybe if you don't help out, you might want to get rid of those U.S. bases. Just saying. Qatar's Ras Laffan liquefied natural gas, the LNG facility, suffered extensive damage after it was hit with missiles. Qatar Energy's CEO Saad Al-Kaabi told Reuters on Thursday, Iran, why did you build all those U.S. bases near your border? Target practice, of course. Yeah. The threat, what is it? The number one terrorist threat in the world, and it's surrounded by terrorists. How about that? Qatar's, told reports again. Kabi said that the Iranian attack knocked out 17% of Qatar's LNG export capacity, causing an estimated $20 billion in lost annual revenue. He added that repairs will take 3 to 5 years, if Iran lets you repair them, that is. The impact of the attack will spread to consumers in Asia and Europe, where gas prices are rapidly rising. Of course, the customer always pays for the bullshit. Qatar supplies around 20% of the world's liquid natural gas, and energy experts say that there is no immediate replacement for Qatari gas. Iran also demonstrated it can hit deep into Saudi Arabia. An Iranian attack targeted the vicinity of the kingdom's Red Sea port of Yanbu. That sounds like some sort of Star Wars planet or something. Chewie, we've got to get the Millennium Falcon to Yanbu. Which has emerged as the main export facility for Saudi Arabian crude, with the Strait of Hormuz now controlled by Iran. Yes. So, as much as Iran keeps getting pounded, they're pounding their neighbors too, and it seems like, they still control the Strait of Hormuz. If you're just joining us, I had checked earlier, the price of Brent crude oil today had dropped to $107 a barrel. I think it had gotten up to as high as 114. So it's in our propaganda watch, we'll talk about Bibi's speech, which helped lower the gas prices, which is kind of funny since the guy's probably not alive. I saw this meme. It was Weekend at Bernie's, but they had BB there, and it said Weekend at BB's. He was like, eh. And then there's the one with him and Huckabee that they had put out, but then somebody turned BB into a zombie. Oh, that's going to be a fun story to cover later in the show. Back here at home, nearly 70% of U.S. voters oppose Iran ground invasion as Trump weighs troop surge. Now, Trump he was with the the Japanese prime minister yesterday, and he said he wasn't going to send troops. And if he was going to send troops, he wouldn't tell us. So who knows? So I'm pretty sure he's going to send troops. Well, he's already sending the Marines. So that's technically, he just lied right there. As President Trumpy says he's not afraid of a Vietnam-style invasion of Iran, seeing how he managed to get out of Iran back when he was get out of Vietnam, I should say, back when he was eligible, and is reportedly considering sending thousands more U.S. troops to the Middle East. Polling published yesterday reveals that most American voters strongly oppose boots on the ground in a war a majority believe isn't worth it. They already didn't like the war as it is. They damn sure don't want boots on the ground. Just over 2/3, 68% of respondents to the Data for Progress survey said they oppose deploying U.S. ground troops in Iran, while just 26% support such action. Those 26% do not have children and are scared little bitches and want you to go to war instead. Among Democratic respondents, 86% were against a ground invasion, which is also opposed by 71% of independents. Republicans were split, with 48% supporting and 48% opposing sending troops into Iran. Wow. War is like porn for Republicans. So you're like, man, if you're opposed to that, you're opposed to porn. I don't even know you anymore. Slightly more than half, 52% of those polled said they agree with the statement going to war with Iran is not worth the risk because it will cost billions of dollars and result in the deaths of civilians and more American service members, 13 of whom have been killed officially, unofficially, and we know it's probably more than that, during a war whose globally defined moment thus far has been the massacre of around 175 children and staff at a girls' school bombed by the U.S. Targeting error, they called it. Yeah. Among Democrats, 77% of survey respondents said the war isn't worth it. Conversely, 64% of Republicans said the war on Iran is worthwhile. The Data for Progress survey follows Wednesday's publication of a Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft poll revealing that nearly 8 in 10 people who voted for Trump in 2024, when he campaigned heavily on a No New Wars platform, want a swift end to the war on Iran. Nearly 3 weeks into the U.S.-Israeli war that Trump said was won more than a week ago, Iran remains undefeated, launching missiles and drones at targets throughout the Middle East, paralyzing international shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, and demonstrating continuity of government as Israel assassinates one of its leaders after another. Again, they've been preparing for this for almost 50 years. So, of course, they're going to prepare their leadership structure. They know they're going to come for the head. And so they have several levels of leadership structure to keep the continuity of government, and particularly the military, too. As the war grinds on with no clear objective or exit strategy, the Pentagon is reportedly seeking more money, as we told you, and more troops for the fight. Democratic senators have warned that the U.S. is on a path to a land invasion of Iran. Hegseth has reportedly approved the deployment of more warships and thousands of Marines to the region. Asked Wednesday by a reporter if he is afraid of another Vietnam, where more than 58,000 U.S. troops and around 50 times as many Vietnamese, Cambodians, and Laotians were killed over 2 decades, Trump replied, "I'm really not afraid of anything except for McDonald's being closed." And then that scares the fuck out of me. That's a paraphrase. The Pentagon is now reportedly asking Congress to authorize another $200 billion, as we said. This as American workers and families struggle to make ends meet as the price of gas and other consumer goods spike amid an expensive betrayal of Trump's campaign promise to make America affordable again. More like make America fucked again. And that is definitely happening very, very quickly. Not scared enough? Well, the World Health Organization officials are preparing for a possible nuclear incident in Iran. Officials at WHO, the World Health Organization, have admitted that they are preparing for a worst-case scenario nuclear threat if the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran escalates. Hanan Balki, WHO Regional Director for the Eastern Mediterranean, said that staff remain vigilant for a nuclear incident following Trump's decision to bomb Iran in a joint campaign with Israel. Yeah, Poppy. Make America fucked again. Or I guess it should be make America continue to be fucked, because they were kind of fucked before this, too. The worst case scenario is a nuclear incident, and that's something that worries us most, Balki told Politico. As much as we prepare, there's nothing that can prevent the harm that will come the region's way. And globally, if this eventually happens, and the consequences are going to last for decades. Don't forget, kids, the U.S. has nukes, but Israel has nukes too. And if BB's really dead, that means even worse psychopaths have their fingers on the button. Happy spring, everybody. The official told the outlet that that United Nations staff are preparing for an incident in its broader sense, including if there was an attack on a nuclear facility or the use of a weapon. We're thinking about it, and we're just really hoping that it does not happen, Balki added. He failed to mention the poop in their pants, in their collective pants, as they know that is probably going to happen. In the wake of the bombing campaign in the Middle East, WHO is refreshing staff on how to respond in the event of a nuclear incident and providing guidance about long-term health risks linked to radiation exposure, Politico reports. So basically, they're buying a whole bunch of 1950s school desks and telling their employees to hide under them and to place their lips upon their anus and kiss their ass goodbye. That's how you do it. Wait, what happened? Hold on a second. There you go. CAFA, keep America fucked again. That's what they're trying to do. I think those who read the history of previous incidents, whether intentional or accidental, are very aware of what we're talking about, Balki added. Israel and the U.S. have continued to pummel Iran's nuclear sites as Trump insisted if Iran was on the brink of getting a nuclear weapon. I thought they took them out last year, right? Isn't that what Trumpy said? At the beginning of Operation Epic Failure, which began on February 28th, Defense Secretary and rejected Muppet Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chair General Dan Kane insisted the goal of the operation is to eliminate Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon, echoing the same line shared by Trump in the White House when they launched the attacks. Even though the country had insisted they weren't building one, their supreme leader even issuing a fatwa to not build or get nuclear weapons, but apparently that wasn't enough. This week, Joe Kent, Trump's director of national counterterrorism of the National Counterterrorism Center, resigned from his post because he could not in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran, and the country posed no imminent threat to our nation, he said in a post on the tweeters. We'll have more of that coming up soon in the show. In her opening remarks to the Senate Intelligence Committee on Wednesday, Trump's national director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, came out and saw her shadow and said, 6 more weeks of war. Guess she's been missing. Nobody's seen her. Said that the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran last summer obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment program. There has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capabilities. The entrances to the underground facilities that were bombed have been buried and shuttered with cement. Gabbard's opening remarks stated, Trump's artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency czar David Sachs caused alarm Monday when he suggested that Israel could escalate the war by contemplating using a nuclear weapon. Like they hadn't thought about that forever. The president insisted that Israel would never do that when asked about the comments later by reporters. Come on, these psychopaths, they ain't gonna nuke anybody. Come on. I mean, really, you know what I'm saying? The Independent is the world's most free Okay, that's all right. So that's basically the end of it. Yeah, so the Who, not the band, although the band might be preparing for nuclear war too. I haven't really talked to any of them. Have contact with the Who, although, you know, I do like their music. Yeah. Probably not a bad idea, Who, to preparing for that, because as we all know, fuckery's afoot. And when you add nuclear weapons to the mix, that's like super fuckery right there. So we had told you about the United States, the Pentagon wanting to get $200 billion for more weapons. So the U.S. does approve $16.5 billion to the Gulf states in arms deals amid rising Iran tensions. Ah! Look at him. It's time to let the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to get things started on the Muppet Show tonight. Sorry. The State Department has approved a $16.5 billion deal for arms sales to the UAE, Kuwait, and Jordan as tensions with Iran continue to intensify, aka as these countries continue to get their ass kicked for having U.S. bases in their country. Yesterday, the State Department explained that $8.4 billion worth of arms would go to the UAE to pay for drones, missiles, radar systems, F-16 aircraft, and adult diapers. So when they shit themselves as the missiles come in, they won't stain their clothing. As part of the deal, Washington also approved roughly $8 billion for air and missile defense radar systems to Kuwait, and additional $70.5 million to Jordan, which would cover aircraft and munition support. This proposed sale will support the foreign policy and national security objectives of the U.S. by improving the security of a major defense partner, the State Department said. The UAE is a force for political stability and economic progress in the Middle East, and plus a lot of rich fuckers. The statement added that the proposed deal did not require congressional approval, given that Secretary of State Aquaman provided detailed justification that an emergency exists that requires the immediate sale of arms. And it doesn't really matter. Like we said, they're on both sides of the aisle. They're all a bunch of war hawks. The sale comes amid ever-increasing tensions between the U.S. and Iran. The administration, so basically started this shit on February 28th. And the resulting war has prompted fears of a protracted regional conflict. Like we said, tomorrow will be the 3-week anniversary of this shit. The war has also caused energy prices around the world to surge. The U.S. and Israel have attacked Iranian energy facilities, including the oil port Karg Island, and Iran has responded with threats against energy infrastructures in U.S. allies such as Qatar and Saudi Arabia. In addition, Iran has largely choked off tanker shipments through the Strait of Hormuz, a waterway through which a fifth of the world's oil and gas travels. Yes. So another reason why they're funding it too is because they're running out of interceptors over there. If I think some of them have already ran out. Because the United States didn't think it was going to be this long, right? They thought, okay, a few days. And that's it. I think Bush Jr. said something similar about the Iraq war. He said something like, yeah, we'll be in there and out like in about a week. And we were there, 20 years? Laine P. CBS is shutting down its radio news service. Oh, that means less propaganda. That's too bad. Good morning to you. U.S. stupid logical thinking. Yeah, no, right? Yeah. When you don't think ahead, when hubris dictates all your moves, that's when the fuckery happens. So back here, in our neck of the woods, a little bit of intrigue going on as, Russia deploys tankers with fuel aid for Cuba in push to break U.S. blockade. That's very interesting. There's a tanker right there. 2 Russian tankers carrying hundreds of thousands of barrels worth of oil are heading to Cuba in defiance of Washington's energy blockade against the island nation. According to multiple reports and tanker tracking data, the Seahorse and Anatoly Kolodkin are heading to Cuba with 930,000 barrels of gas and oil combined. The Anatoly Kolodkin, owned by Russian state shipping firm Sovcomflot, that's not a real name, is set to unload at Matanzas oil terminal north of Cuba Monday, I believe, right? What, today's the 20th, March 20th. Yeah, so that'd be Monday, March 23rd, according to Kepler. Russia's foreign ministry stated on March 18th, that was Wednesday, that it was ready to provide Cuba with the necessary support, including material support. Cuba has been under a trade embargo for over 60 years, starting after the Cuban Revolution and the overthrow of the U.S.-backed Batista dictatorship. Trumpy has recently tightened this siege to starve the nation of energy imports. At the start of the year, he signed an executive order threatening tariffs on countries assisting Cuba. Well, since they already have sanctions against the Russia, and Russia's probably going to get really rich on all this high-priced oil, I don't really think they care about that. Due to the U.S. blockade, the island has been facing a severe energy crisis with constant blackouts and fuel shortages. It also faces an exacerbated food security crisis and increased poverty. Cuba experienced a total power outage this week. Millions of Cubans were without electricity for around 30 hours after the power grid collapsed. Most parts of the country were reconnected as of yesterday, but authorities warned that severe fuel shortages continue to pose a serious threat to electricity generation. All my life I've been hearing about the U.S. and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. Whether I free it, take it, think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth. They're a very weakened nation right now, Trump said, mumbling some bullshit on Monday about the outages in Cuba. According to the New York Times report, U.S. officials have told Cuba to remove its president from power. Since the blockade began, Russia has repeatedly vowed to assist Cuba and provide it with energy. Yesterday, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum also declared her country is working to resume fuel shipments to the Caribbean nation. Does that make her a Caribbean queen? Now we're sharing the same dream. Billy Caribbean Ocean. Too soon? Sorry. Yeah. So of course, fuel prices being high and stuff like that is one thing, but also the Department of Homeland Security is still shut down. ICE isn't. They got their money, but the DHS is still shut down. And what does that mean? Well, U.S. warns of potential airport shutdowns amid sustained funding crisis. If you're flying, I hope you have wings, because your airports may soon be shut down. A prolonged U.S. government funding impasse could force the shutdown of smaller airports as a growing shortage of security personnel begins to strain the country's aviation system. The administration of President Donald J. Humphreys Trump has warned, as reported by Fox News. Senior administration officials said Tuesday that the ongoing partial government shutdown, now in its 31st day, has already placed severe pressure on airport operations, with further disruptions expected if the situation persists. According to the TSA, around 50,000 airport security officers have been working without pay for over a month. The financial strain has led to a sharp rise in absenteeism, with approximately 10% of officers failing to report for duty on Sunday alone. Don't think I'm going to make it into work where I'm not getting paid, boss. No pay, no play. Acting Deputy TSA Administrator Adam Stahl warned that the situation could escalate further if attendance continues to decline. As the weeks continue, if this continues, it's not hyperbole to suggest that we may have to quite literally shut down airports, particularly smaller ones, if call-out rates go up, Stahl said in remarks to Fox News. The Department of Homeland Security noted that absentee rates have surged well beyond normal levels. You think? Well, if you're not going to get paid, why the fuck would you go to work? While typically fewer than 2% of TSA workers call out, some major hubs, including Atlanta, New York's JFK, and Houston, have seen absence rates hover around 20% since mid-February when federal funding lapsed. The impact on travelers has already become evident with long wait times and operational slowdowns reported at several major airports. In some cases, passengers have endured security lines stretching for up to 2 hours. 2 hours. Well, isn't that like normal? Don't you usually have to wait like a couple hours at the airport? I think after 9/11 that did, but then they started making it faster, but I haven't flown in quite some time. So I don't know how that works. What's up, Bella? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Absenteeism has spiked even higher in recent days, exceeding 50% in Houston and more than 30% in New Orleans and Atlanta. The DHS also confirmed that at least 366 TSA officers have resigned since the shutdown began. House Speaker Mike Johnson warned that the aviation system is nearing a critical point, stating that airports are reaching a breaking point. Airlines have also raised an alarm, with executives from major carriers urging lawmakers to swiftly resolve the crisis, please. Oh, please, we're losing money. In a joint statement, they criticized the repeated disruption of air travel due to political deadlock, calling the situation unsustainable. Wait a minute, Poppy, are you the same Poppy from Kevin's show, from Black Bear News? Let me know. I know a few Poppies. Sometimes they call me Poppy. Ay, qué rico, Poppy. The funding lapse began on February 13th after Congress failed to reach an agreement on government spending amid disputes over immigration enforcement reforms sought by Democrats, which is kind of the immigration reform having to do with ICE, who is fully funded. So these efforts with DHS and the rest of these, oh, okay, Poppy, cool, good to see you. I mean, good to see you anyway, but really good to see you because I knows you. Because so Democrats are like, yeah, we're going to defund the DHS. It's like, okay, well, ICE still has money. Isn't that the main point of contention is ICE? So why are you punishing these other, like the TSA, FEMA, I think is under there too. Efforts by senators from both parties to pass competing funding measures have so far failed. Poppy pops up when the going gets good. The standoff comes at a particularly sensitive time for the aviation sector as airlines anticipate a record-breaking spring travel season. An estimated 171 million passengers are expected to fly in the coming weeks, marking a 4% increase compared to the same period last year. In response to staffing shortages, some airports have already closed security checkpoints. Just go in. Oh, you got a knife with you? It really doesn't matter. Go ahead. While others have launched initiatives to support unpaid TSA workers, including fundraising efforts, GoFundMe's, I bet you, to help cover basic living expenses. This is so fucking sad. With no resolution in sight, officials warn that continued inaction could lead to broader disruptions and potentially the unprecedented closure of parts of the U.S. air travel network. Yes. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, the Democrats are trying to tell you that, we're trying to get rid of, defund ICE and all that good stuff. And, we're working hard for you. It's like, no, you're not. This is all virtue signaling. And you're causing stress in these areas. And probably more to cause stress to the Republicans, too, as they're probably going to get their ass handed to them in the midterms. come November. Ooh, excuse me, I got a little burpee coming, but it doesn't want to. What do we got next? Got a couple more here before we get to our propaganda watch. Here's a water wet, sky blue. Nearly every House Republican votes for amendment that would slash Medicare, Social Security. Nearly, Gilroy Gregory's, good morning to you, sir. Hope you're well. Nearly every member of the House Republican caucus voted Wednesday in favor of a proposed constitutional amendment that experts say would result in massive cuts to Social Security, Medicare, nutritional assistance, that would be SNAP, and other key federal programs. The proposed amendment, led by Representative Andy Biggs, Big is not what his wife calls him, would effectively prohibit the federal government from deficit spending with an exemption for declared wars. Sure. We got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. The final House vote on the amendment was 211 to 207, well short of the two-thirds support required for passage of a constitutional amendment. Every Republican who took part in Wednesday's vote backed the proposed amendment. Just one Democrat. Yes, you get it. Representative Henry Cuellar of Texas joined the GOP in voting yes. He's like Lurch of the House. What's his name? Fetterman. He's like the Fetterman of the House. He might as well just be a Republican. The vote came as congressional Republicans and a handful of Democrats continue to reject efforts to halt a war that is costing U.S. taxpayers roughly $1 billion a day, a price tag that some in the GOP have openly embraced. 95. Yeah, I heard California's going to be really hot. This first day of spring, too. You would think it'd still be a little chill over there. I don't know what it is here. I think it's like 60-something. It's going to be in the 70s this weekend here. The vote also came less than a year after congressional Republicans and Trumpy approved a sprawling reconciliation package that delivered another round of tax cuts, primarily to the richest Americans and large corporations, while enacting unprecedented cuts to Medicaid and federal nutrition assistance. Nonpartisan analysts have estimated that the GOP budget law would add more than $4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. American families don't need a lecture on fiscal responsibility from the same politicians who just added $4 trillion to the debt with their so-called big, beautiful bill, one of the most expensive pieces of legislation in American history, said Representative Brendan Boyle, Democrat out of Pennsylvania, the top Democrat on the House Budget Committee. When it comes to cutting taxes for billionaires, they have never had a problem blowing up the deficit. This amendment is nothing more than a show to cover up their hypocrisy on the debt. Representative John Larson, Democrat out of Connecticut, said following Wednesday's vote that the so-called balanced budget amendment is the Republicans' latest backdoor attempt at gutting Americans' hard-earned benefits. It would force drastic cuts to Medicare, Social Security, food assistance, veterans benefits, and other programs American families depend on, said Larson. My Republican colleagues can say this amendment is about fiscal responsibility all they want, but the reality is that the budget they passed last year ballooned our deficit by $4 trillion to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy and give ICE a slush fund larger than most nations' militaries. Exactly. Ahead of the amendment vote, the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, the CBPP, warned that the amendment's passage and ratification by U.S. states would immediately devastate programs that are appropriated annually, such as housing assistance, education, and scientific and medical research. And eventually it would require cutting programs such as Social Security, Medicare, and food assistance, the think tank added. They're okay with cutting Social Security now that most of these old bastards are about on their way out anyway. Claims that these programs would ultimately be protected ring hollow given that their share of the budget. If policymakers decided to shield those programs from cuts, the amendment would require lawmakers to devastate the rest of the federal budget, including Medicaid, food assistance, housing assistance, education, scientific and medical research, farm aid, national parks, transportation, airport security, mine safety, since revenue increases would be so hard to achieve. Under the proposed amendment, 2/3 support in each chamber of Congress would be required to approve any new tax or increase in the tax rate, hamstringing lawmakers' ability to raise revenue. Ultimately, meeting longstanding and broader popular commitments to seniors' retirement and health care and managing the future risks associated with higher debt will require substantially more revenue, said CBPP's Brendan Duke. This constitutional amendment moves in the opposite direction. Not only would it effectively bar tax increases, but it would allow unlimited tax cuts, thus forcing huge unacceptable program cuts. It should be roundly rejected, or squarely rejected, or triangularly rejected. So, Missouri is lowering income taxes and replacing them with sales tax. That's right, passing the fuckery on to the consumer. Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure the income taxes that are being lowered are from rich people, regular ass people, probably not so much. And if they do receive some sort of tax break, it'll be just a pittance. And finally, in our news block, pardon me, what was this? Make sure we see everybody. Anybody sneak in? Okay. 9% of Affordable Care Act health care plan enrollees go uninsured after enhanced subsidies expire. So, many Americans are feeling the financial pain following the expiration of enhanced federal subsidies for the ACA marketplace health insurance. About 1 in 10 people who were enrolled in an ACA marketplace health plan last year are now uninsured following the lapse of enhanced subsidies that reduced their monthly premiums, according to a new survey by KFF, a nonpartisan health policy research group, not to be confused with KFC, who sells you chicken with hormones. Many more people said they downgraded their health insurance or face financial stress due to higher costs for healthcare, according to the poll. With subsidies gone, Affordable Care Act premiums are expected to more than double in 2026. So in 2025, it was $888. This year, it's $1,904. The lapse of enhanced premium tax credits led health premiums to more than double for the average ACA enrollee in 2026, according to KFF. About 22 million people, more than 90% of all ACA enrollees, received those subsidies last year. Returning enrollees are really struggling with costs, said Luna Lopez, a senior survey manager at KFF. KFF polled 1,117 U.S. adults who were enrolled in an ACA marketplace health plan in 2025 to gauge how they responded to changes in the marketplace. They were surveyed between February 12th and March 2nd of this year. The anxiety over higher health care costs comes as Americans deal with issues of affordability in other areas. The war in Iran, initiated by the U.S. and Israel on February 28th, has driven up gasoline prices and threatens to raise inflation for groceries and other areas of household budgets. Healthcare costs and affordability more broadly are poised to be a potent political force ahead of this year's midterm elections in November, according to political analysts. More than half of returning enrollees to the ACA marketplace put a lot of blame on congressional Republicans and Trump, 54% and 53% respectively, for higher healthcare costs, according to the KFF poll. While Democrats tended to blame Republicans and vice versa, independents were more likely to say congressional Republicans and Trump deserve a lot of blame, 56% and 58% respectively, than congressional Democrats at 28%. Yes, the Democrats are not in charge of the House or the Senate, but, instead of having the ACA, maybe we could have had, single payer or, God forbid, Medicare for all. That would have been, we couldn't have that, though. Go away. The expiration of enhanced ACA subsidies was a central issue in the record-long government shutdown in the fall. Democrats pushed to extend them, but a majority of Republicans ultimately voted against doing so. We know how close some of these elections could be, Lopez says. Changes in healthcare coverage and healthcare costs do seem like something that will impact how they approach the election and whether they decide to turn out and vote and who they may choose to vote for. Households that chose to drop their health insurance altogether due to rising costs face a lot of concerns and worries about what to do if they get sick, Lopez says. Even those who kept their ACA health insurance coverage aren't doing so painlessly. Total increases at different income levels for a 60-year-old couple or a 45-year-old single person from expired subsidies and annual premium hikes. So this is, what is this one for? This is for the 60-year-old couple. So there should be increasing by $4,555, and for a 45-year-old single, $1,200. About 17% of returning enrollees said they aren't confident they can afford their premiums, KFF found. They're at risk of dropping their insurance this year, adding to the ranks of the uninsured, Lopez said. Total enrollment in ACA marketplace health plans is expected to fall to 12.5 million by 2028, the Congressional Budget Office estimated in February. That would be about half of last year's enrollment and represent a near erasure of all gains in marketplace signups since 2021, when the enhanced subsidies took effect. And there's more to this. Again, these stories are going to be on my Substack at ExtraBulla.substack.com. So if you want to read the whole article, you can. It just goes into more of the numbers. Of course, the Democrats aren't going to do shit with, if they do get the House and Senate, they're not going to do shit when it comes to helping people. They're just going to say, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. And, probably, I mean, they have a golden opportunity here, probably to impeach him for reals, not this bullshit that they did in the past. But, the Democrats always tend to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. And of course, they have their own, insurance lobbyists and donors that back them too. It could be a great time to finally get Medicare for all, but I don't see it happening, at least not anytime soon. So, so that's all the news that's fit to print. We got our propaganda watch coming up here as Trump says, no, we didn't have anything to do with bombing Iran's South Pars. Oh, wait, we did? Wait a minute, I don't think we did. Wait a minute, did we? I think we did.
City Alpha 5!
Biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media publish these things they are true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
I was so pissed, I wanted to get the show over with. Sorry about that. I really got to move that button. Trump forced to issue false denial of U.S. role in Israel attack on Iran's South Pars. This is him talking to the Japanese prime minister, and he said, yeah, we did a sneak attack on Iran. Remember when you guys did that to us? Remember when you sneak attacked us back in 41? U.S. President Donald Trump has said he did not know in advance about Israel's terrorist attack on Iran's South Pars gas field, but according to media reports, the attack was coordinated with, guess who? The United States. Unless there's an alternate universe United States that did it. It reminds me of that Spider-Man meme, where the Spider-Men are just kind of pointing at each other, that kind of thing. Yes, R.I.P. Chuck Norris. As I said earlier, Chuck Norris may be in the here and gone, but his beard still lives on and will actually perform the eulogy at Chuck's funeral and is expected to live on at least another 50 to 60 years. 3 Israeli officials told the Reuters news agency yesterday that the Israeli strike was coordinated with the U.S. but would not likely be repeated since they got caught. The officials, however, said that Israel was not surprised by Trump's comments. The sources described the action as similar to one that played out after Israel bombed fuel depots in Iran several days ago. Wednesday night, Trump said in a social media post that Washington knew nothing about this particular attack by Israel, which he said had violently lashed out at Iran out of anger for what is taking place in the Middle East. He said Israel would not attack the gas field again. Wink, wink, wink. Because apparently attacking the gas field means oil prices go up, and Trump's like, can't have that. All this time you thought Chuck Norris kicked Death's ass. He did, but Death went to the hospital. Apparently has better medical care than we do, and came back and said, all right, Chuck, time to go. After attacks on the world's largest gas field in Iran, U.S. War Minister Pete Hegseth, I like it, they call him a war minister over there, also said that in that particular case, those weren't our strikes. Wasn't us, not me. Thursday, Trumpy said he told Israeli Prime Minister and current AI star Bibi Netanyahu not to strike any more Iranian oil and gas fields. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss it. We do independent, but we get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore. Trump mumbled to reporters in the Oval Office alongside Japan's visiting Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi. Hey man, that Pearl Harbor stuff, that was gold, baby. That was gold. According to the report, Persian Gulf Arab states had sought explanations from the Trump administration, with one country contacting U.S. Central Command. That's CENTCOM to you and me. CBC voter, what's going on? Good to see you. The command told that country that it was not informed in advance of the Israeli strike, the report said. That country then contacted Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, who said that while the strike was not a joint U.S.-Israeli aggression, Washington was informed about it ahead of time, he said. Throw under the bus. Prior to Trump's statement, the Wall Street Journal had quoted unnamed U.S. officials saying the president had supported the strike on South Pars as a message to Iran over its restriction of tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's busiest oil shipping lanes, but that he did not want to see further strikes. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesman said the Israeli targeting of facilities linked to Iran's South Pars field, an extension of Qatar's North Field. I just want to say Qatar because it sounds like guitar, but I'll say Qatar. Was a dangerous, like welcome back Qatar, was a dangerous and irresponsible step. The UAE and Oman also condemned the attack. The attack on Iran's South Pars gas field drew an Iranian retaliatory assault on U.S. military bases and its energy companies across the region. It says Pete Hegseth is begging for $200 billion. The U.S. and the Israeli regime have repeatedly sought to highlight their close coordination in their joint war of terrorism on Iran, but authorities on both sides have claimed that their objectives are not the same. On Thursday, U.S. Director of National Intelligence and hiding out star Tulsi Gabbard told a House Intelligence Committee hearing that while Israel has been focused on disabling the Iranian leadership, the U.S. has focused on destroying Iran's ballistic missile program and its navies. She finally came out of hiding. Senior Iranian officials say they hold both the U.S. and Israeli regime responsible for indiscriminate bombing of residential areas, schools, and hospitals during their ongoing aggression against Iran. The U.S. and Israel carried out coordinated attacks while negotiations were still ongoing amid reports that some regional countries endorsed the aggression. I bet those regional countries don't endorse that aggression now as they're getting their ass handed to them. Kitty! Boom, 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 boom. Yes, go ahead. Destroy Iran. We hate those fuckers. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. No. We didn't say that, baby. We didn't say that, baby. Speaking separately to reporters yesterday, Trump and his extremist war secretary, Hegseth, Captain Haircut, didn't dispute the report. We're asking for a lot of reasons beyond even what we're talking about in Iran when this is a very volatile world, Trump says. Well, you ain't making it any better. As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. Said, oh, well, that's Hegseth who said that. Fuck him. Yeah, so The South Pars bombing, the United States was like, yeah, that's cool. And then they saw the price of oil shoot up, and they're like, no, no, not up, no. You may heard about this yesterday. Hang on a second. Is it gonna do that? All right. Or does it keep doing? What the shit? Okay, I guess it's. Here we go. All right. So RT correspondent recounts surviving Israeli airstrike. If they'll show it again here. This is him right there. Oh shit! That's some fucked up shit. RT correspondent Steve Sweeney and his cameraman Ali Rita Spaghetti have been injured in an Israeli strike while filming in southern Lebanon. They said an Israeli aircraft fired a missile at their filming position near Al Kazmia Bridge, not far from a local military base. Rita said Israeli forces deliberately attacked the crew despite their wearing uniforms, displaying their press credentials. They don't. Press credentials? Are you kidding? Those might as well be bullseyes at this point, right? Rita's camera captured the moment of the strike as he filmed Sweeney's report. The footage shows the missile hitting less than 10 meters behind Sweeney as he ducks for cover.
Along the border, including the Al-Marj outpost opposite Merkabah, and carried out drone strikes on the Al-Raheb site near Aitar al-Shab. Further rocket attacks were reported against Nahariya and a
Rita also shared footage of doctors removing shrapnel from Sweeney's arm. We don't have to show that. In a separate video, he said both he and Sweeney were fine, joking that it turns out that when a missile is flying at you, you can hear it. You think? Yeah, it's not like but it's not like Roadrunner. But yeah. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman and future ex-wife of mine, Maria Zakharova, has condemned Israel over Thursday's strike, saying the attack on journalists wearing press markings cannot be called accidental, given the killing of 200 journalists in Gaza. Exactly. Yeah, you can't say oopsie sauce when you've been killing journalists on the regular, apparently. Especially since the rocket did not hit a significant strategic military facility, but rather the location where the report was being filmed, she wrote on Telegram, adding that Moscow is awaiting the response of international organizations. Sweeney later told Rick Sanchez on the Sanchez Effect on RT that he was treated for shrapnel wounds to his arms. I'm amazed that we survived. We were incredibly lucky to come away with the injuries we did. Well, I guess that's kind of a poor way to phrase it. Like, I guess he should have said we were incredibly lucky not to get injuries that were worse. You know the thing. This was a deliberate, targeted attack. There's no question about it, Sweeney added. Israeli armed forces are thought to have deliberately murdered hundreds of journalists reporting in Gaza and the West Bank over the past 3 years. They don't allow foreign press in there, so of course the majority, if not all of those journalists were Palestinian. The incident comes amid Israel's limited and targeted ground operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, launched on Monday after the group, which has close ties to Iran, carried out strikes on Israel following the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. On Wednesday, Israel explicitly threatened to target bridges in southern Lebanon. The military said it aimed to hit crossings over the Litani River to prevent Hezbollah from moving reinforcements and weapons south, and declared the area south of the Zarani River a military zone, warning that any vehicle that could also be targeted, including press, especially press. Lebanese officials say more than 1 million people have been displaced by Israel's ground offensive and airstrikes since the start of the month. RT journalists have frequently been injured while covering major conflicts, particularly in Ukraine, including most recently correspondents Igor Zhdanov and Roman Kosarev, who were wounded in drone and artillery strikes while embedded with frontline units. RT Arabic stringer Khalid Al-Khattab was killed in 2017 while covering a Syrian government offensive against Islamic State. That would be ISIS. The network later established the Khalid al-Khatib International Memorial Awards for Best Journalism from a Conflict Zone in his honor. So, yeah. Israel's an equal opportunity journalism murderer for sure. That guy, yeah, him and his cameraman, lucky to be alive. Lucky to be alive. It's probably the cameraman who was, because normally when you're a cameraman, you have one eye in an eyepiece and the other eye just kind of looking around and stuff. And I would imagine in a war zone, that other eye is definitely looking around, and he probably saved both of their lives. So you heard about Joe Kent's departure the other day. Well, and there have been several pundits who said, yeah, probably hell's going to start coming down on him from all sides. Well, it's already started. As the FBI is investigating U.S. counterterrorism chief who resigned over Iran war. There he is right there. Nice sideburns. The resignation of Joe Kent, a senior counterterrorism official who spoke out against the U.S. war in Iran, took a dramatic turn on Wednesday with a report that he is under investigation by the FBI. That's not the female body inspector. That's the Federal Bureau of Investigation over an alleged leak of classified information. The inquiry predates Kent's departure on Tuesday from his post as director of National Counterterrorism Center, basically second in command to Tulsi Gabbard over at the DNI, where he had overseen the analysis of terrorist threats, according to Semaphore and CBS News. The FBI declined to comment on the existence of any such investigation. They still think there was no child trafficking in the Epstein files, too. So, take that with a grain of salt. The report came as Kent, the first senior member of the administration to quit over the war, gave his first media interview since stepping down. Speaking to the right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson, he claimed that dissenting voices were effectively frozen out of the decision-making process that led to U.S. airstrikes on Iran on February 28th. A good deal of key decision-makers were not allowed to come and express their opinion to the president, Kent said on Tucker's show. There wasn't a robust debate. Wearing a blue check shirt open at the collar, that's an interesting thing to put in an article. Kent, a staunch Trump ally and conspiracy theorist, The Guardian. You got to love their colorful attempt at journalism. Appeared at pains to not criticize the president directly, but he painted a picture of a White House in which Trump relied on a tight inner circle of advisors, sidelining officials who questioned both the intelligence and the strategic wisdom underpinning the strikes. Well, if they already knew who Trump was, they would definitely say there's no wisdom at all, one would think. Kent insisted that there was no evidence that Iran was close to gaining a nuclear weapon or posed an imminent threat to the U.S. There was no intelligence that said, hey, on whatever day it was, March 1st, the Iranians are going to launch this big sneak attack. They're going to do some kind of 9/11 Pearl Harbor, etc. They're going to attack one of our bases. There was none of that intelligence. Instead, Kent alleged Trump's hand was effectively forced by Israel. Shocking. I know, right? The Israelis drove the decision to take this action, he said, claiming that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the AI king of the Middle East, and other Israeli officials lobbied the president with claims that did not align with established intelligence channels. Kent added, I know how this works. I know the Israeli officials, some in intelligence, some in government, will come to U.S. government officials and say they will say all kinds of things that we know from our intelligence just simply isn't true. Oh, you mean they lie? The Israelis lie? I've never heard that before. They'll say, hey, I'm giving you a preview. It's not in intelligence channels yet, but here's what's going to happen, and that doesn't usually come to fruition. Such remarks have drawn swift condemnation in some quarters, with critics arguing that references to an Israeli lobby veer into offensive tropes. Carlson has come under a similar scrutiny, notably after previously interviewing the anti-Semitic activist Nick Fuentes. Kent, who did not specify who blocked his access to the president, also cited comments by Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and current Aquaman, and Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, as indicative of Israel's influence over the timing of the strikes. But he noted that the U.S. and Israel have divergent goals. Most folks right now at the Pentagon and the intelligence agency, they would say us and the Israelis actually have a different objective here. I don't believe that our objective has been clearly defined because we're shying away from regime change. Well, they're finding out that regime change isn't actually working. The Israelis are not shying from regime change. They want to knock out lock, stock, and barrel the current government. They don't seem to have a plan for what comes next. They don't seem to have a plan for getting rid of the regime because the regime keeps popping up another head. They probably should have known that before launching weapons at him. Kent told Carlson that he decided to resign after it became obvious that his concerns would be ignored. I know this path that we're on, it doesn't work. He said, I can't be a part of this in good conscience. As a Green Beret, Kent saw combat in 11 deployments before retiring to join the CIA. He also endured tragedy. His wife, a Navy cryptologist, was killed by a suicide bomber in 2019 in Syria, leaving him with 2 young sons. Kent has since remarried. Kent's work at the National Counterterrorism Center was overseen by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, as we told you, who on Wednesday said it was up to Trump and Trump alone to decide whether Iran posed a threat. Gabbard, a veteran and former congresswoman from Hawaii, previously criticized talk of military strikes in Iran. She has not said what she thinks of the current strikes, and a spokesperson has declined to respond to questions. The White House pushed back forcefully when Kent resigned. Trump dismissed him as weak on security, insisting that Iran represented a tremendous threat, and suggested that those who disagreed lacked judgment. If somebody didn't like it, didn't think it was a threat, we don't want those people. So if you don't believe the bullshit, they don't want you. And also, Tulsi had said that the 12-day war last year had, in effect, shut down their nuclear programs for that. So that was another lie that Trump told in order to get into the mix. Man, if I was a MAGA person, I would be so pissed. You know, America first. Well, first with an asterisk. That's what they should say. So yeah, U.S. intelligence undercuts Trump's main justification for war in Iran. So here we go. One of Trump's central justifications for his war on Iran has been blown out of the water by his own intelligence community, which has concluded that Tehran is not rebuilding the nuclear enrichment capacity destroyed in last year's attack, as we just told you. Hey, Peace Dove, good to see you. Good morning, good afternoon to you. Whatever the case may be. In written testimony submitted Wednesday, DNI Chief Tulsi Gabbard said, as a result of Operation Midnight Hammer, Iran's nuclear enrichment program was obliterated. There has been no effort since then to try to rebuild their enrichment capability. I should say. The assessment undercuts Trump's repeated claims that Iran posed an imminent threat and was close to obtaining a nuclear weapon. When questioned by senators, however, Gabbard did not repeat that conclusion orally and declined to say whether Iran had posed an imminent nuclear threat, saying that judgment was for the president. Somebody told her to shut the fuck up, basically. That's what happened. The discrepancy is significant because Trump has invoked the threat of an Iranian nuclear breakout to justify continued military action. What are they going to send up pictures of nukes? They don't have nukes. Gabbard's written testimony, by contrast, indicates that U.S. intelligence has not found evidence that Iran is reconstructing the enrichment infrastructure destroyed in the attack. The development came as Joseph Kent resigned, as we told you. About that, there's his resignation letter. Kind of weird to put hugs and kisses at the end of one of these letters, but he didn't do that. So Kent's resignation places fresh pressure on the administration's account of the war coming days after Gabbard's testimony indicated that Iran was not rebuilding its nuclear enrichment capability. Together, the two developments are likely to intensify scrutiny on Trump's claim that military action was necessary to confront an imminent threat. They wanted to go to war. They didn't need They didn't need an excuse. You know, they didn't even call it war because then Congress would be like, excuse me, war? So they call it some technical shit to get around it before anybody could do anything about it. This one is fun, right? Now, some of you might be like, oh, well, you know, they proved that this is true or not, but I don't know. You decide. U.S. aircraft carrier to leave Red Sea for repairs after fire. So we're talking about the U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, is set to leave the Red Sea to undergo repairs at the U.S. naval base on the Greek island of Crete after a fire broke out on the vessel last week, according to a report Tuesday. The vessel, which is currently deployed in the Middle East amid the Iran war, will head to naval support activity Sauda Bay for more than a week of repairs, a senior U.S. official confirmed to U.S. Naval Institute News. Citing sources, the Greek daily Kathimerini reported earlier that the aircraft carrier is to return to Crete next week. It comes after a fire broke out on the ship on March 12th in the aft laundry facility, resulting in a major damage control response that displaced sailors across the carrier and disrupted operations throughout the vessel. More than 600 service members lost their beds and have been bunking down on floors and tables, according to the reports. They said it's a laundry facility. And if you've seen the pictures of this ship, it was on fire. Now, unless the Gerald Ford is made out of paper mache, there's no way that it should have been that big of a fire unless it was hit by missiles. It wasn't hit by missiles. It was hit by laundry detergent that exploded. The carrier spent 4 days at the Sauda base on Crete last February, resupplying before heading for the Eastern Mediterranean. Here's CENTCOM's bullshit. On March 12th, the USS Gerald R. Ford experienced a fire that originated in the ship's main laundry spaces. The cause of the fire was not combat-related. No, surely it wasn't combat-related. No, definitely not combat-related. Come on, man. Really, it wasn't combat-related. And is contained, CENTCOM lying motherfucker said on Twitter. Code Pink is on its way to Cuba. Oh, cool. The U.S. and Israel have continued a joint offensive since February 28th. Iran has retaliated with drone missiles, yada, yada. You know the thing. This is the same ship, I believe, that had the shitter problems, too. Didn't it have toilet problems? Man, when you got a ship named Gerald R. Ford, and you remember when Gerald R. Ford was president, it's kind of appropriate. So, laundry, I don't believe that one bit, right? Now, do I have proof? Absolutely not. But my spidey senses tend to be right most of the time, and my spidey senses are going, I smell shite. I believe it's shite. This is the one I wanted to tell you guys about. So what is the name of this? What did I call this? Yes. So I called this Not in Yahoo Strikes Again. So, you've been seeing these videos of Netanyahu at the coffee shop, and then he's up on some sort of lookout, and they had this press conference before, and now they got another press conference again. Let me get this ready to go. So this is the latest AI fuckery, and we'll tell you why it's AI fuckery in just a second. So here's BB. Let's take a look at the video, see what you think. Okay, I don't think it shows up in this one, but I'll show you one here in just a second where it does. So this is him.
Also wrote The Lessons of History, very brief, 100-page book, in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation.
All right, well, then you get the gist. So, a little projection there. Evil will overcome good, I think. So yeah, so that was him. Let me get this set up. I don't want to spoil it for you. So I want you to watch his sleeve, right? Watch the sleeve on his jacket. I think this is from another part of the video. So check this out. This is his sleeve right here, obviously. Now watch this.
One.
Whoa, ta-da! Did you see that?
Second.
Isn't that nice?
Removing the ballistic missile. One.
No sleeve. Oh, it just magically appears. Look at it.
Removing
Oh, no sleeve. Oh, just like out of Dungeons and Dragons. It just magically appears. Oh. Enough of that silliness. So, yeah. So that there's and now you have all these news agencies quoting Bibi and what he said and everything. It's like, that wasn't Bibi, y'all. That, my friends, was the magic of AI. Bring. So these videos, they keep putting these videos out too, right? And apparently whoever's screening these videos to make sure no AI fuckery is going on, obviously either blind or they're not very well aware of how AI works and that sort of thing. So I thought that was fun to share with you. So finally, today in our Propaganda Watch, we have another James Lee video for you, talking about Iran and how Iran is a lie. Let me turn this down so I don't blow your ears out. That'd probably not be a good thing. So again, this is a little lengthy, about 14, almost 15 minutes, but I think it's worth it. Let's watch.
This is a huge bombshell story. We've talked about it from the very beginning, that we've been lied into the war with Iran, and now we have that confirmation. All right, top counterterrorism official Joe Kent resigned this morning over Trump's war with Iran and says that Iran posed no imminent threat. He's the number 2 guy behind Tulsi Gabbard, who is the director of national intelligence. Which, by the way, Tulsi, oh my God, what the hell happened to her? Anyway, let's go ahead and read his letter. He says, quote, after much reflection, and this is to President Trump, I have decided to resign from my position as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I support the values of the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, and 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June of 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that should you strike now, there was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a Gold Star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further towards decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration and to serve our great nation. I mean, it literally couldn't be any more clear than this. Okay, he's saying point blank, we have been lied into this war with Iran because of Israel. And he's also thrown down the gauntlet in regards to Trump, saying you can still reverse course. And here is Trump's reaction from this morning. Let's go ahead and play it.
National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you?
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
Hold on a second. He said, I always thought he was weak on security, which is exactly why I put him in charge of security. Also, did you guys know Joe Kent was the one who wanted to investigate if there was any foreign involvement in the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and Kash Patel and the FBI actually shut it down, which I thought at the time was kind of weird. And also, I think, once again, we need to remind people what this particular administration has put out about Iran. This is Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Kent's old boss, the director of national intelligence, in March of 2025, just 2 months after Trump took office.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
All right, she stated under oath in front of Congress that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. But we bombed them again last year, and this is the statement that the White House made in June of 2025, saying that Iran's nuclear facilities have been obliterated and suggestions otherwise are fake news. And we wouldn't want to be spreading any fake news now, would we? And then last week, after a report had come out that Iran was preparing for some kind of attack on U.S. soil, the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, posted, quote, "This story should be immediately retracted by ABC News for providing false information to intentionally harm the American people. To be clear, no such threat from Iran to our homeland exists, and it never did." So what exactly is the threat here again? Well, it's imminent, they tell us. Tom Cotton. Iran has been an imminent threat to the United States for 47 years. The president was right to act. And God bless Community Notes, which says nothing can be, quote unquote, imminent for 47 years. So what the 1984 is going on here? And because Joe Kent was willing to put people above party and say, no, I have eyeballs, I have ears, we're clearly doing this because Israel wants us to, because that is literally what you told us, his life could now literally be in danger. Vox is calling him a dangerous anti-Semite. Look at this subheading here. Anti-war anti-Semitism is still anti-Semitism. Like, what the hell is anti-war anti-Semitism? The New York Times is calling him a quote-unquote supporter of conspiracy theories. Mark Levin says that the DOJ should open a criminal investigation to determine if Kent leaked any classified information.
They already have.
This is utter insanity, what we're talking about here. Joe Kent, he served 11 tours overseas, a 20-year veteran. He's got 6 Bronze Stars. His wife, with whom he had 2 kids, was killed by a suicide bomber in Syria. You trying to call this guy a traitor when he is one of the few people brave enough to tell the American people, honestly, what we already know, which, I mean, they openly are telling us, they're saying this, that we're in Iran because Israel was allegedly going to attack first, and so we needed to jump in. I mean, Marco Rubio literally said this, that Israel's plan to strike Iran would put American lives at risk, and rather than confronting Israel, the U.S. joined the war. And as a matter of fact, Trump repeated that again today. Let's take a listen here.
We don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of the great assets that we have. We have double, more than double what anybody else in terms of oil production. We're more than double any other country. So we don't need it, but we did it. It's almost, you could say we did it out of habit, which is not a good thing to do. But we did it because we have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there.
So let me ask you, is it anti-Semitic to simply repeat what the president is telling us? And Ben Shapiro, I hate to do this to all y'all, but he is going off about how Joe Kent's an anti-Semite. He's a conspiracy theorist. He's got brain rot. I got to play. It's so insane. I got to play the clip.
Well, this morning, Joe Kent quit his job at the National Counterterrorism Center and issued a scathing letter designed to undermine President Trump. The letter is deeply, deeply conspiratorial. It states openly that, quote, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby.
That's literally what they're telling us. I showed you guys the receipts. Iran is not an imminent threat. And also, Israel dragged us into this war.
Now, that is conspiracy trash. It's also kind of strange since President Trump has said that it's conspiracy trash. So apparently, Trump is so deeply, deeply enthralled to those strange, powerful American lobbies. We're not going to say it. That he apparently has been,
I'll say it, the Israel lobby.
So bamboozled by them that he's still under the impression that he's his own man. But here's the thing. President Trump is his own man. He makes his own decisions. And as per our usual arrangement, Trump's critics are cowards who are simply unwilling to acknowledge that Trump is the one making the call. But Joe Kent continued, quote, early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pre-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed imminent threats to the United States and that should you strike now, there was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war that cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women.
That's once again literally what happened. We've seen the clip. Benjamin Netanyahu in front of Congress talking about how we got to take out Saddam Hussein because he has weapons of mass destruction. That happened.
This stuff is brain rot. Now listen, we should all be thankful for Joe Kent's long and honorable military service. We can also be glad that he's leaving, since his ideology is the same as that of Tucker Carlson, the guy who says that the war is disgusting and evil and who has been busy sexting with mullahs. Tucker Carlson calls Kent a personal friend and, quote, the bravest man I know. Frankly, I think that it is a good thing that Kent is not in this position. We cannot have a director of counterterrorism who is somehow advocating preemptive surrender to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism in the middle of a war.
Ben Shapiro says we, quote, cannot have a director of counterterrorism advocating for a preemptive surrender of the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, except that is not at all what he's saying, what Joe Kent's saying. Once again, he is an 11-time combat veteran who actually went and fought against these so-called bad guys and also lost his wife to war. And unlike many other people as of late, he's actually been tremendously consistent on this. He was saying the same thing before he was appointed to be the head of counterintelligence, and he's saying the same things now. Here's him on Tucker Carlson in 2024 before Trump was elected. Let's take a listen.
I do think there is a lot of people, and a lot of them, like you pointed out, like Nancy Pelosi, are in their 80s, and they've always thought this way, this with us or against us mentality that says, like, hey, you're either for the next war, the most current war and the current thing, or you're with the terrorists. You just are kowtowing to Vladimir Putin. It's the exact same mentality that got us into the Iraq war. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. And look,
yeah, maybe there's some nuance to this, potentially.
Tucker, I would love to come on here and defend neoconservatism as someone who, lost my late wife in these wars, as somebody who lost countless friends, as somebody who fought myself, 11 combat deployments. I spent most of my 20s and 30s in Iraq. I would love to tell you it had worked, but it simply did not. And that's a very hard thing to admit. I get into arguments all the time with fellow veterans about this exact same topic. So I think a lot of this is literally the gambler's fallacy. There's a lot of people who think, hey, if we just keep trying, if we keep attempting to spread freedom through the barrel of a gun and trillions of US dollars, this time it's going to work. Let's just double down. And this is, how really nice casinos are built in Las Vegas off of this exact same mentality. So I think that combined with the financial interest from Lockheed Martin and every single defense contractor and, putting someone like Lloyd Austin as the Secretary of Defense who's still on the board at Raytheon, I think that factor with that mentality and people not being able to admit that we got this wrong and then making adjustments to our policy, I think that gets us in this current situation because it's actually challenging to thread the needle. Like, where do we go from here? We can't just let the Iranians attack and kill our people. Right. But at the same time, we know if we go to war with Iran, this is going to be a disaster. There's no data that says, like, hey, maybe if we just go to a war with Iran this time, it's going to work out great. We've actually got to assess the past mistakes that we made, make adjustments, and then chart a more pragmatic way forward.
It's almost like we can't vote our way out of this. Anyway, I think we need to speak out in support of this man because he has done something, quite honestly, nobody has ever really done in this context, which is to speak out against war when it matters, not when the war is over, not when millions of people have already died. And unfortunately, I think he's going to pay a tremendous price for this. So the least we can do is to continue to apply that public pressure to let the people in office know that we support Joe Kent and anyone else willing to speak the truth. President John F. Kennedy wrote in his book, Profiles in Courage, quote, "A man does what he must in spite of personal consequences, in spite of obstacles and dangers and pressures. And that is the basis of all human morality." Well, today, perhaps more than ever, humanity is on the line. And Joe Kent, he is certainly a man of courage. That is it for me today. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is maybe a good sign, a harbinger of things to come, maybe more resignations, or maybe the exact opposite? Are we headed down a dark path of Zionist censorship and authoritarianism? Sound off in the comments section below. Also, if you want to support my work, my journalism, you can become a member by going to my website, 5149jameslee.com. You could also pick yourself up some merch there. But if you're not able to, no worries at all. Just take a second to like this video, share it with your friends and family. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to know when my next video drops. As always, thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next one.
In Iran, because the Iranian regime has told Sky News, if you put boots on the ground in Iran, it will be another Vietnam. Are you afraid of that?
No, I'm really not afraid of anything.
Again, he is afraid if McDonald's is closed or if their ice cream machine is broken. Yeah, so James Lee there, but if you're not subscribed to his channel, I believe it's called 51-49 with James Lee. Take some time. He does some good work looking into this stuff. From a technical standpoint, unfortunately though, he did I noticed some of you may have heard like the double audio or whatever that was going on. Apparently he was playing the video while his mic was still on. So James, if you're listening, and I know you watch this show, if you're going to play a video and have the audio out, make sure that your mic is off. Just a little technical thing for you there. Wesley, Steve, I saw you sneak in here. Good to see you. Hope you guys are doing well. That's it for that. And also, as a reminder, of course, we have our mutual aid for our friends in the space. If you can help these folks out, really appreciate it. Of course, the Justice for Aspen. She is dealing with some legal problems in Georgia with their fucked up laws down there. If you can help out, that's great. Of course, our buddy Cowboy Kitty, his sister-in-law, Natalia, dealing with ICE and possible deportation. I need to talk with him to see if there's an update to that, to her situation there. So she could definitely use your help there. Our buddy Chanda, dealing with cancer, of course. This is an ongoing process for her, a struggle, fight. And of course, medical bills are not cheap at all. If you can help out, that would be great too. And of course, our buddy NoliDee and our buddy Kevin, who had dealt with fires that either partially or totally destroyed their homes. If you can donate, that's great. All the donation links are down below in the description. If you can't donate, of course, obviously, a lot of us are broke as a joke. If you could share out the links to others, that would be great. And if you know of anybody that's in need of mutual aid, if you can contact me at ExtraBulla at gmail.com, let me know. We'll add them to the list here and shout out, shout out our folks that are in desperate need of help. in the space. Also, coming up tonight, of course, it's Friday night and the feeling's right. It's time for another dumb shit with The Secret Show. We'll be playing silly videos to get your mind off things for a couple hours, as we usually do on Friday nights. That's at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Rumble, and the Book of Faces. Come hang out in the chat, have some fun. Like I said, take your mind off things for a while. Just for a little bit. Sometimes you need that break. You need that breakaway, because otherwise you'll just go crazy. And we don't need another reason to go crazy. So take your medicine, take your comedy medicine. Let's have some fun. And you may learn something too. We have some fun, informative videos on there as well. Finally, today, you've heard of medicine that's pretty shitty, right? Not because, well, probably because it doesn't work, or one of the side effects is death. Well, turns out in an ancient vial in Turkey shows Romans used human excrement in medicine. Yes. They used poopy pills. Archaeologists in Turkey have discovered traces of human excrement in a 1900-year-old glass vial used to hold perfumes or elixirs. Jesus, what kind of shit? They go up to somebody. Oh, what is that aroma? Eau de toilet, literal toilet, which they believe is the first physical evidence that the Romans used shit medicinally. I'm not saying feces. That's stupid. That's just nice talk. Let's call it what it is. Previously, the practice of applying excrement or shit to the skin to fight infections and inflammation was known only from ancient Roman texts. Senker Attila, an archaeologist specializing in ancient perfumes at Turkey's Sivas Republic University, was working with colleagues to identify the contents of hundreds of vials held in Bergama Museum, close to the ruins of the ancient city of Pergamon in Turkey's western province of Izmir. Pharmacologist Ilker Demirbalat ran a chemical analysis on the contents of one vial, finding crap and thyme oil. I guess thyme heals all wounds, but not shit. The long-necked bottle, or unguentarium, that's a fancy word, was recovered from looters, so experts can't be sure where it was excavated. However, Pergamon was home to a renowned hospital and to the ancient physician Galen, who documented the use of shit in medicine. The bottle's design also suggests it comes from the area. We found a medicine that has survived from ancient times to the present day, Attila said. We found shit while expecting perfume. Demirbalat said Roman physicians described how the medicine could cause revulsion, you think, and recommended mixing it with something that smelled nice, hence the presence of thyme oil. So it's basically just shit and thyme. Yeah. All right. Sure, whatever. Yeah, probably traces. Yeah. So, shitty science, shitty medicine for all those who, yeah. Talk about wash your ass. You know, you might want to wash your medicine too. So the looters didn't wash their hands. Yeah, pretty much. That's it, folks. Again, tonight, come join us 11 p.m. Eastern for The Secret Show. I'll be putting clips out of this show throughout the week. You'll see those. I guess you'll see me again after The Secret Show tonight. Might be doing another gaming stream tomorrow. It is the first day of spring. Hopefully it's nice where you're at and not 95 degrees where Kill Your Egregores is out there on the West Coast. Yikes. That's a lot of heat. Too soon. I'll be back also Wednesday morning at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time with the lovely and talented Laine Petersen for the Undercurrent. Be sure to hang out with us for news you can use. And yeah, and support this channel if you can. If you could like, share, and subscribe if you're watching this in the future or right now. Also, if you want to donate to this show, I have a Patreon. You can subscribe for $1 or $5. Put your name up in lights at the beginning of the show to thank you for your efforts. We also have you can do super chats here on YouTube, or you can do CashApp, PayPal, Venmo, that kind of stuff. All the links are down below in the link tree. It's Linktree / or / I keep saying backslash, and Wesley always gets on to me for that. / ExtraBulla. Donate if you can, please, pretty please, with sugar on top. If you can't, that's fine too. Again, if you could share out the links, that'll help me out a good deal as well. So parsley, shit, rosemary, and thyme. Yeah. Thanks everybody that's tuned in live. If you're watching this in the future, I appreciate you watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know the thing. It helps out with the algorithms and whatnot. And I just want to thank everybody for being cool and being supportive. Coming up pretty soon on 2 years for this show. I believe in June. I guess so, another couple of months. So yeah, I mean, this has been one of those shows where I don't like the news that I'm reporting, but I like the fact that I'm getting it out to people who really don't have time to read stuff. Maybe they just want to listen or watch the show, whatever. That works too. We're all in this space together. Of course, make sure you're supporting our friends over here. It used to be down here and it was so much easier. So now I gotta maybe, oh, there we go. Yeah. Support our pals up there, who are in the space, smaller channels that are trying to, inform, entertain, and, just trying to, grow our community as it were. So and I really need to move that, outro button too, because that fucked me again. Thanks everybody. Love each and every one of you. Peace, and chicken grease. Come see me tonight. We'll have some fun. Peace.
This is SETI Alpha 5. Woo!
Soon.